Okay, this is still July 31st, 2016. This is part installment part 6 of number 3, which deals with Robert Nelson's life. You want to pick up where you left off?
Okay, thank you. When we left off, I was letting people know that metaphysics and psychism are tools. Never let the tool become the master. You see, the real effort here, and people often ask me, how do I learn to be psychic? And I tell them, you can learn to be psychic, but why not learn to be of God first? Like I said 2,000 years ago, seek the kingdom of heaven and all things are added to you. Go after your true identity first. And then these other things are just natural byproducts of who you are. And they'll come to you in the time when you're ready for them. There are ways to learn to be psychic, but why make that such a dead-end goal? Learn to be God. And all these other labels that we like to put on things, prophecy, healing, prediction, telekinesis, psychic ability, all these things are just as natural a part of you as breathing is. Then go for God. The issue here is to remember who you are. Why we're alive here on earth is to remember our true identity. Life is about identity.
And if I could interject here too, it is something that I think a lot of people get caught up in so much of the packaging and commercialization of the whole New Age movement, which includes, getting your diet perfectly and, abstaining from this food and that and all types of exercise and certain amount of meditation every day, and it just goes on and on and on, to the point where a lot of people think, well, I can't be this or I can't achieve this until I get all these, other little ducks perfectly in a row. And one of the things I think that is blessed about your life, even though it's a detriment in other people's eyes to you in terms of their believing a lot of times, but at the same time, it's an ironic proof, if you will, to the people that have come to know you, even half as well as I know you, the fact that here you are, not by any means perfect. You have these terrible, debilitating, back pains and from scoliosis that. And you're overweight and all this stuff, and yet, that doesn't preclude you or stop you, and you've never had a perfect diet or worried about it or anything else, and sure, these things are all great and they can't help you, but at the end of the day, nothing should separate you from knowing who you are and what you're about and what you want to do. Should never be put off. Until you live up to some other, so-called guru's expectation of what it means to be perfect and have this, perfect, vessel of a body. That's all window dressing, and it's all nice and fine, and sure, it can help just the way putting on a good suit or a nice suit can make you feel better. Sure. But is it necessary? No. No matter what clothes you have on, you're still the same person underneath. For better, for worse. And I just wanted to put that in.
I'm glad you did. This is like the name of, there's a reason why these series are called Birthright. Our birthright is our identity. And You have every right to it. It doesn't matter how shitty you've been. It matters that you come to that point where you're willing to remember who you are. It's a gift given freely, so it's not conditional. In some ways, I tell people, you have a Heavenly Father who is overjoyed to see you take this gift. Now, to me, that makes a distinction between us and God to call him Heavenly Father. You see, we are God right here. Not a piece of God, but totality of God. And again, it deals with quantum and with quality, not with quantitative thinking. But it's all about identity. And you don't achieve it. Never. You don't earn it. Never. You become it. You be it. It isn't something you have to work to. You don't get a degree that you can hang on your spiritual wall. It's so simple.
Would you say it's like accepting it?
Absolutely.
You accept it.
Accepting it and
Acknowledge
it's already
it.
there.
Acknowledge it.
That's right. It's already there. It's like wholeness. Same concept. You know, people think sometimes their lives aren't whole, and they have reasons to believe this. We all do. We all go through that.
You know, there's so much about respect. You know, different aspects about respect. You know, everybody and everything wants respect. And what exactly is respect? Well, you know, another good way to look at respect is acknowledging. You know, I acknowledge you. I acknowledge myself.
Yeah.
I acknowledge, the God consciousness that exists, in you or myself.
Yeah.
And that's what the one of the terms that is very popular now, namaste.
Oh yes.
And that's kind of that's a lot of what it means. It's a great way of greeting and ending a conversation, because it's saying I acknowledge you, and I acknowledge the God self that exists in you, and respect that.
It's like I tell people, don't have a living relationship with God. Have a living relationship as God. And this, again, you have to get past the guilt trips that we've been handed and that we also hand ourselves. You have to get past that. I couldn't because I did that when I was such and such an
pretty
age.
much every religion, because they're all about, protecting their own image and creating followers and raising money. Exactly. I was just going to say raising money. That's the last thing they want you thinking is that you're God, and they're gonna make anyone that comes out and says that to be a foolhardy devil. And granted, there's some people that have come out and said they were God or said they were Christ, for that matter, and they weren't exactly people that I'd want preaching to my dog. But there's false messiahs and everything. There's no matter what business you're dealing with, right? I mean, there's good mechanics, there's bad ones, there's in every business and every aspect.
Well,
so
there's a way around that too. 2,000 years ago, when I said, beware of people coming in my name, I didn't mean everyone who comes in my name is false.
Yes.
It's been taken that way, unfortunately. Because for people who are fearful, that's the best way they can handle it.
Yeah, just dismiss everything and everybody.
Right. And people are afraid about their souls and their eternality.
Yeah.
And because of that, they'll make false assumptions or let other people make their decisions for them, like Reverend so-and-so. And again, please understand, I'm not knocking preachers. What I am simply saying is that if there's anything good about a religion at all, I never came to start one, it should be a springboard to something better, into a living relationship.
Right.
And again, not with God, as God. Now, this is not something that you just do instantly. It's something you live every day of your life, and there are going to be times when you're not going to live it, and you're going to be tempted to think, oh, I couldn't possibly because I really fucked up on this. Yeah, I know I said the F word, the F-bomb. But that's where you have to see beyond that. That's where you have to let yourself see who you really are, even though it doesn't seem like you deserve it.
Yeah.
You never earn it. You accept it. Or you reject it. And if you reject it, only temporarily at best. Because in one lifetime or another, you will accept it again. Why not make it better on yourself and accept it sooner? You have every right to.
Yeah.
Going on into the 70s a little more with the flying and other issues. My mother was very concerned about my flying. She was concerned about my driving. Well, probably anybody would be concerned about my driving. Gosh, even my dogs were concerned about my driving. Anyway.
No comment.
No. Actually, I'm a pretty good driver. Didn't say I'm great. I'm pretty good. But I told her, I said, look, when I get in the car, you pray for me, right? And she said, of course I do. And I said, well, when I go to my flying lessons, you pray for me then too, right, Mom? And she says, yes, of course. And I said, good, because you just put me in God's hands and out of yours. And then I said, so, tell you what, I'm not going to be going for a while from this world. The time will come when a flea could take me out, and nothing you or anyone else can do or say will stop it. But that time isn't yet. I'm not sure if that helped her or not. I went ahead with more flying lessons. I actually ran out of money before I could finish flight school. Something I wish I could have continued with. I continued working with the Geller effect. I was bending silverware more and having fun with moving matter at times and affecting the weather and things of this nature in a good way. And doing some heavy soul searching at times. At one point, and this happened repeatedly, I would fall asleep all of a sudden and have this dream of me from 2,000 years ago in the air facing me as I am now, face to face with each other.
Yeah. With
beautiful waterfalls in the back, lush green foliage and waterfalls. And yet we'd be in the air. And at one point he said, you need to be ready to take the rod of authority. To which I said, well, that's yours. And he said, well, you know who you are. Then he said, do you love your race? And I said, the human race, of course. Then he said, do you love your planet? And I said, yes. And he said, do you love God? I said, yes. He said, then you need to be about what you're about. And over, that dream repeated itself until finally I said, okay, I get the message. I'm with you. All right. See, this is something I knew about my life all my life, but kind of didn't want to know. And was constantly fighting with myself because I knew I was gay. How could Jesus and gay be together? A time would come...
Not because you felt that way in your heart, because of all the conditioning of what everyone else was,
Absolutely.
believing. Yeah.
And let me explain to you...
Which is an incredible way. People need to understand people's expectations, whether you accept them or not, still are an incredible energetic mantle that we all walk around with.
It's very heavy and very burdensome and destroys our life and our health.
Yes.
It destroys the quality of our lives. In the 1980s, and we'll get to this in another session, but something happened that got me to stop fighting a war against myself and to accept myself in every aspect of myself unconditionally, to declare peace instead of war. But because, like, when I was a teenager, and I expect the laws are on probably every state's book in this country anyway, being gay was 1, considered to be a sin. 2, it was considered to be an illness. 3, it was considered to be a criminal offense. You could be arrested. And many gays were, just for being gay.
Yeah.
All right. If I had come out, even to my folks, which would have really hurt them, so I protected them for many years. Just like about the ET issue, I protected them for many years. If I had come out to my parents and said, look, I'm gay, homosexual was the word back then, I would have dealt with my mom's upset and crying. My dad would have been upset and perhaps angry. I would have then ended up before the preacher telling me what a sin.
Mm-hmm.
If that worked, it would have only worked temporarily. Then I probably would have ended up with therapy, which back then and still is conversion therapy, which results in suicide for the most part.
Yeah, it's twisted.
I wasn't going to go through any of the above. I didn't feel that I was sinful. Obviously, I still don't, because it isn't a sin. Interesting side note here, in today's modern times, with the Supreme Court of the United States telling gays they can get married with all the rights of a married couple and the responsibilities. And with the military saying, hey, you can serve in the military. The end of don't tell, don't ask, don't tell. It used to be if you were in the military and they found out you were gay, you would be kicked out with a dishonorable discharge, even if you were a great service person.
Yeah.
Now, even to this day, in many states, you can be fired from your job just for the fact that you're gay, even if you don't say anything about it and don't act on it at all at work.
Yeah.
If they get suspicion, they can fire you and you have no legal recourse. Gays are still treated like second-class citizens in this country, and in other countries they're killed. No one is an object. Everyone is God. Let's start looking on each other as God and treating one another that way. Would you want to go kill God because he was a little different? Actually, yeah, it did 2,000 years ago. But I'm hoping we could outgrow that. Back then I said, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. You've had 2,000 years. People, please, for your sake, God's sake, wake up. As time went on, as my flying lessons went on, we're going to go back to that now. One day, my dad had to borrow my car. This was in the shop. And so we had gone out to eat one morning. It had been raining. It was a Saturday morning. And we put our umbrellas on the ledge of the table that we were eating. And I said, hey, Dad. I looked at the umbrellas like that. They lifted up and fell off the table. No one was jostling the table. No one was touching it. Nobody was walking past it. My dad does one of these numbers. Like that, and didn't say anything. Then we got ready to leave for me to go for my flight lesson. Well, we were delayed because there was a train coming. I, at that point, jokingly, and please understand I meant it jokingly and in no other way at all, didn't expect a damn thing to happen.
This is while you were sitting, the crossing guard was down and the train was getting ready to cross.
That's right. And I just said, I wish the train was 5 counties away. The train disappeared.
Uh-huh.
The crossing arm lifted. I looked over at my dad, who was holding on to the steering wheel like this. I said, Dad, do you think it reappeared 5 counties from here? I don't know. I learned valuable lessons. I learned that you don't have to concentrate. You don't have to have spells. You don't have to do Solomonic chants or designs or efforts. You just give a little thought to it and don't even care if it works. And don't expect it to. Now people will tell you, oh, you have to concentrate and expect this to happen. No. When you have to concentrate, you're fighting something yourself. You're giving the power of God to resistance. In a way, I kind of feel weird about telling you this. This can be used in a way for healing. It can be used for help. It can be used for understanding between people. It can be used for counseling. It can be used to rearrange the entire world in the blink of an eye. If you really want heaven here, you already got it. Let me tell you a little secret. Heaven's not a place you have to die to go to. It's not a place you have to be good to get to. It's not a where. It's not a when. Heaven's a who. And that who is you. 2,000 years ago, I said it a little differently, but the same concept. The kingdom of heaven is within you, all about you, and around you. I didn't say it's up there in the sky.
Well, let's do a little bit of clarification. You said you don't have to be good.
You don't have to earn it.
Okay.
Now, if you're not acting in a way that is heaven, then you're not heaven.
Because I don't, you know, I've had some excursions to heaven, if you will, and I don't think that the mind, the energetically, heaven could not ever accept someone who's, you know, an asshole.
Let's put it this way.
Not that, you know, heaven isn't full of people or doesn't have people that have, you know, done things they regret. I'm talking about, you know, someone who's, you know, hell bent, if you will.
Well, they're not in heaven because they aren't heaven.
Right.
In order to, quote, be in heaven, and that's a misnomer. You have you have to be heaven, and if you're acting in such a way that treats others as objects, or yourself as an object, then you're not, quote, in heaven because you're not being heaven.
Yeah.
Heaven is never locked from the inside. That would be weakness and fear.
Mm-hmm.
It can only be locked from the outside by those who aren't it.
There you go.
Very simple.
There's something. I think it's even in the New Testament about you don't get to heaven on good deeds alone.
No, you don't. You get it by faith, and by faith is a matter of identity.
That was something you said, right? That's the New Testament, right?
Actually, it was said by you.
Oh.
I believe
Are we telling people who I am right now?
Do you want to?
See.
If you don't, that's all right.
Sure. Well, tell you what. Let's get into it next.
Okay.
Next session. We've got 8 minutes left of this one.
Okay. I finished up as far as I was going to go with flying lessons around 1978. Basically, the 70s after that were just a matter of continuing school teaching and transferring to another school in the northern part of town where I lived. And by the end of the 70s, I had had enough of public education. I felt like I was wasting my life and taxpayers' money teaching children how to go from simplistic to complicated, which was the exact opposite of where God is. Mm-hmm. I know these are skills you need to learn to live the daily life and earn your daily bread and things of that nature. I understand that totally. But I felt that what I was doing was trying to teach children, for the most part, who really at the time were more interested in beating each other's faces in than they were learning. I was also trying to teach concepts that would lead people away from the simplicity of God to the complexity of fear and hate and prejudice and the complexities of this world. So I went through a type of, you might say, nervous breakdown, to be very honest. And in 1980...
Did you have to take time off for that, or?
Yeah, I did.
So you took time off from teaching?
My blood pressure was so high that the doctors didn't know how I was still alive.
How long did that last?
Oh, let's see.
I don't remember you telling me that.
I believe, no, it's not something I'm real proud of. I believe it lasted about 6 months or so.
Uh-huh.
And finally I started teaching at the sheltered workshop in the city where I lived. for the mentally handicapped adults.
Oh, so that's how you switched over
And
from
totally loved it. Some of the most fulfilling
teaching regular grade school to special education
special
kids.
ed.
Yeah.
And it's some of the most fulfilling work you could ever do. Teaching is fulfilling, regardless of whether it's grade school or wherever. But to be with people who wanted to learn, but unfortunately nature kind of made it difficult for them to.
Yeah.
But I found ways to help get around that. I used neuro-linguistic programming to a degree. If you're interested in that, you can Google it and look it up. I'm not going to take the time to define it here. But just being human and caring. To me, human isn't, people say I'm only human. There's nothing only about being human.
Yeah.
To me, human is the seat of divinity. So when you're being human with one another and with yourself, you're being divine, and it should be as natural, not something that you look at and go, it should be something that is so natural, it just feels right and feels good. One thing I will tell you is that where I say that we are God in a form we may share, first with yourself, and then with those around you as yourself, because that's who they are, whether they walk on 2 feet or 4 feet. When we resume the sessions, we're going to get into the 80s. A lot of interesting things happen then that are further in line with what I'm here to do. I've had a strange life. It's been, to me, amazing and wonderful in some ways, and it's been really painful and disappointing in a lot of ways.
You and me both.
And I think that's part of the human condition here that we're going through. But the thing is, you see, this is the challenge. And I don't even like putting it in that terms. But this is the challenge, as you might find expressed in the books called The Explorer Race by Robert Shapiro. The discomfort here in this world convinces us we're not who we really are.
Yeah.
We have to believe beyond that. We have to think beyond that. We have to accept beyond that. And we have to accept our true identity unconditionally, unearned. People will say, realize this, realize that. All they're saying is make it real. All you're doing by accepting your godhood is, your true identity is, you're accepting it because it's already real. It's already there. It's never been away from you.
Yep.
You're just giving yourself your birthright. And you literally could change the way this world works in the twinkling of an eye. The people with the power, the Zionists, they're not Zionists, they're Zionists. They're a reptilian human bloodline from way ancient times. These people, they would still have a world they would command, a little hellish world of their own. Meanwhile, the rest of you would be in a world so heavenly. And it's up to you. I can't decide this for you. I can show you what you can do. I can tell you what needs to be done, but it is not in my power to do it for you. It's in my power to do it with you.
Yeah.
You can call on me to help you.
And that's a scenario we might talk about later. Yeah. To sum it up, anyone who's read the Celestine Prophecy, that's what those books are very much about. It's definite, viable possibility, the way things might happen here, to render where people of higher vibrational intelligence, if you will, that are ready to move on, might do just that, and people that still have lessons to be learned in the lower vibrational might remain and follow a timeline of this earth that the projecting trajectory it seems to be going right now very, very, very well. So
there are marvelous things ahead for you, I can tell you that. And it's very possible, if you choose this in the future, you may well become the healers and teachers and messiahs of the multiverse. And I'll be obsolete, and that'll be great. So with that, we're going to say good night and Godspeed, and another of these very soon.